Hello everyone, Ultimate Steve here, and today we start our video of second generation lava reactor rockets on Mars. And this will get its own tour someday. But the thing I'm most interested in is this lava reactor right here, which was built to power the Mars base and to generally like to run experiments on. They had monitors invented by this point. They could monitor what level certain mystic particles were. Like they couldn't tell you when it was going to blow up, of course. But they could tell you like how much of the trigger particle was in there, or the explosion particle that they would like build up in the walls of lava reactors. However, they noticed that particle just straight up wasn't building up in this reactor. Like even when they kind of like did experiments to run it in thrust mode to see it would be present and like a level that like wouldn't actually do anything in normal reactors. But like in this reactor they ran it, they didn't see a thing. So they double checked their instruments, they made sure they weren't broken, and they made a phenomenal discovery here. Martian sand, when smelted into glass, which is what this is made out of. This was made out of local sand because like we had run out because we didn't take enough. Martian sand, when smelted into glass, when you use that in the wall of a lava reactor, it will safely absorb and dissipate the mystic particles that cause the reactor explosions. So, you can build safe thrust-producing lava reactor rockets, but only if the walls of the reactor are built using Martian glass. And obviously that's a bit of a problem because like the export capability of Mars is fairly limited, limited to this rocket, which we did say for this one only, like full chest count, I guess. Because like Can's a bit like questionable on the payload capacity of various rockets because your chest can hold so many stuff. Like ignore it. It's best not to think about that too much. But anyway, so the very first batch of Martian sand that was returned from lava, and they made so many sacrifices to fit as much Martian sand on the first return voyage as possible. Like they sacrificed a bunch of other scientific stuff. But there started to be a glimmer of hope that future of fully reusable, rapidly reusable lunar lava reactor rockets was starting to take hold again. Like it was starting, like people were starting to believe again. Now, granted, you couldn't actually like have that future without like you had to keep your conventional rockets around. Like they weren't going anywhere. And the reason being is that there was not enough Martian glass to make more than a handful of lava reactor rockets, and those lava reactor rockets, one, would be massive single points of failure, and two, would not be able to sustain the existing scale of operations. So conventional rockets were kept around, lava reactor rockets were generally special purpose, and yes, this does mean that the Infinity League actually managed to get to Mars before they managed to get back to the moon. Sorry, the Nuno space program, not the Infinity League. So the first lava reactor rocket of the second generation of lava reactor rockets, and the best one actually. Not a bias or anything. Like, it is actually the best one. Like it is my favorite, but it is also the best one. Is Upgoer 2. It is larger in diameter than the previous lava reactor rockets, and the lava reactor is a bit more sophisticated. I believe this is a fuel rod design. Yes, it's a fuel rod design, which interestingly used brick and bedrock as the vent. So maybe brick was to help the build up with a certain type of mystic particle or something. I don't know. Instead of building a flame trench like proper Minecrafters would to avoid the thrust from the engine from building up and blowing the nozzle out, instead of dealing with that proper Minecrafters, they just built an end portal underneath the nozzle and vented the exhaust straight to the end. I find that absolutely hilarious. Walls of the reactor, Martian glass with a little bit of iron. A little bit of iron is fine, the glass will dissipate it. I believe this will radiate out again or something. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's a certain minimum fraction of the wall that you need to be Martian glass in order for this to work. So anyway, let's go up the launch tower, shall we? Up we go. So the purpose of the Upgoer 2 was to land on the moon and build the lunar space station. It did build the lunar space station. The records are unclear if it ever landed on the moon. I mean, I probably do have the records actually right now. I'm literally going to check right now. Hold on. Okay, I just checked the records. It never landed on the moon. But to be fair, moon landing was always borderline even with the preferred emerald fuel, and I'll get to preferred fuels in a second. Anyway, so boarding the Upgoer 2, you first greet with this lovely area with vines and flowers and all that. This blue doesn't really fit. It kind of feels off, but you're immediately greeted with basically the entrance to the bathroom. I believe you have the shower here. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I had this really awful habit of combining the shower and bathroom into one thing when I was younger, because I thought it was safe space. It's super gross now that I think about it. So trying to think about that too much. But anyway, the shipped music box is here, and that's the control room. I will save the best for last as always. This ship was going to fly significantly more, so the crew invested in some exposure experiments that would be taken through a variety of orbits here, with some of the newer blocks that had not been really tested before. I believe this is actually Martian sand right here. I believe that was the intent. So in here, you got the beds. You got more than the original outgoer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 beds. A meeting area which is significantly more relaxed. And also you notice the material science here has improved significantly since the outgoer and Emerald Sky. The first generation rockets. We can have these massive windows in the corners of the rocket. Like the alloying of the iron has gotten significantly better. It's beautiful. Down here we have some of the private bedrooms. So we got, I believe, 3 of them. So like this would be, like if there were VIPs flying on board, like the captain would have a private room. If I was flying, I'd have a room. Down another layer we have the enchant table, because like, you know, is it really like a good spaceship if you can't have a level 30 enchant table inside of it? Like really? Down another layer, we've got the kitchen. We've got the fridge here, which contains all sorts of goodies. We got stoves. We got brewing stands. We got, like, you know, just a convenient supply of cocoa and another word. I forgot the name of another word for a second. I wonder if there's anything here. I'm not entirely sure. It might have gotten deleted in the changeover, but like, you know, furnaces, crafting table, dedicated kitchen area. Down another, and then presumably you'd eat that at the common area up there. Down here you have another farm for fresh ingredients. This obviously isn't enough to sustain the crew unless like, they bring a ton of bone meal with them. But it is enough, like, you know, to have like a fresh treat on your way to the moon every now and then. Down here you have storage. Here you have the ship's water tank, which is honestly a little bit excessive. We don't want to run out of drinking water or shower water now that there is a shower on the ship. Or the toilet. Down here you have the engine control room, of which the water's leaking into. And I was a bit of a no-life. I believe I actually put the emeralds in here. So fuel tanks, there's probably more beneath the ship. But you have your computer array for controlling the reactor. You have your control switches, toggles, blah, 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 all the way down here. The engineer's frantically running around doing all these things. And actually you have the obsidian up here that is running to power the entire ship. Now notice there's no battery banks on this ship. The power runs directly into the computer. So if the lava reactor dies, the ship dies. That's kind of like a bit of an oversight. That there's no like main. Maybe there's a really small backup battery somewhere. I am not 100% sure, but perhaps there is. This is also a reactor that can uniquely be cold started because you have Dragon's Breath in here. You can inject Dragon's Breath into the reactor to start it up. Like, that's something I elaborated on in the lava reactor video, like the original one from like a year ago. Is that lava reactors have to be kept running at all times. You need a mystic particle source, and for the longest time, the only real way to do that was to kill the dragon without killing all the end crystals. Either transport an end crystal to the overworld somehow, or like transport a lava reactor to the end, start it, and then keep that reactor going at all costs, and then like transfer the mystic particles to a different reactor. So like you have these portable reactors that you have on skyships. They would be like kept alive 24/7 and be used to start reactors before launches. Not anymore. With the updates came the introduction of Dragon's Breath, which we discovered could be used as like a mystic particle source that could just be injected into a lava reactor to start it up. I'm too deep in my own like fictional physics, man. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so the engineer had a bit more toys to play with. All these gauges, you get to go brrr, dancing blaze rod, dancing blaze rod. That's something I would sing. Like there was a song or a little rhyme or something. I don't know I think it might have just been dancing blaze rod over and over again. Yeah, that's what would qualify for humor back in those days. So anyway, we're going to go up to the control room now. So yeah, the primary mission of the ship was to build out the lunar space station. If it was not like completely unloaded and stripped down a little bit, it could theoretically land on the moon. And it was planned to at one point, but we'll get to why it didn't in a moment. So this is the control room. There are 7 seats in this control room. It wasn't a 7-person job flying this thing. But there were so many buttons and doodads and gizmos and wee, dancing redstone torch. A pretty nice view compared to the original Echo, I believe. Like not as many obstructions, maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. This is what music disc is this? I should know. That's Melahi. So it's our meeting music. I guess we have meetings up here, or maybe that was the theme song for this ship. I do not remember. Anyway, going up here, you're continuing the tradition of this is a bit stronger than it usually is on the other ship, but you're continuing the tradition of having a slightly more dangerous viewing area for some people who sit above the control room, because like, what else are you gonna do with this space? There's not really a ton of room here. So that's the Upgoer 2. Unfortunately, right during the middle of its operations, there was an update which changed villager trading mechanics, and for that reason, the price of emeralds skyrocketed, and the Infinity League could no longer like afford to actually send this all the way to the moon. They had to switch out the fuel for diamond blocks instead of emerald blocks, which are worse and more expensive, and like, you know, you can't really get them via villager trading, or at least you couldn't then. I'm not entirely sure if you've ever been able to do that. But yeah, that limited it to lunar orbit missions only. However, a mission did deliver a small lander to the station, and this lander was able to carry small people down to the moon. So it's a small cruise of people down to the moon. Not small people. I mean, imagine it's limited to like 4'6". You had to send the shortest people you got to the moon. So not me. I'm 6 foot. So that was the Upgoer 2. It was pretty successful. There's one incident where it almost burned up on re-entry and experienced significant damage. After that, they had to do some repairs, and the amount they want to fly this is significantly lower, and they don't want to stress it out as much. So it's definitely showing its age. And as of where I've currently played to, somewhere in track to year 5, it's probably going to be retired soon. But all in all, it proved that you could do like a decent lava reactor rocket with Martian sand. Martian glass coated reactors. There's a number of other second generation lava reactor rockets. They're all less impressive, but I will go through them. TLM. This is Logan built this, so the Alex built this, and it is a second generation lava reactor rocket with their share of the Martian glass from Mars Mission 1. I haven't actually looked inside this in the longest time. I'm not entirely sure if I built the reactor or Logan built the reactor. I'm assuming I did, and Logan built the rest of the ship. Inside here, we have not even a bedrock. Presumably, it would have a bedrock. Like that's... Oh, no, there is bedrock. There's 4 bedrock that are, like, going through an iron. That's interesting. All right, interesting. And then a fuel rod type reactor. Presumably either auto-injected or efficient enough that it only goes to lunar orbit and doesn't need additional refueling, or Logan didn't bother building an engine room. Canonically, it could do that. So the first question you probably have is, why is it called TLM? And that's a good question. I have no clue. Logan has no clue. We've both forgotten, and we never wrote down what TLM stands for. So our best guesses collectively, the retcon is like trans-lunar mission, which implied it can fly around the moon, which would be like, you know, a cool thing if it was actually named that. But no, I was just retconning that. So a good candidate is just the Lego movie. Like, we just named the rocket after the Lego movie. That's totally a Logan thing to do, but we'll never actually know. So TLM is just a bit of a mystery. Maybe it's telemetry. Anyway, the launch tower here, ladders, blue clay, going counter to the color scheme of the times, because the color scheme is very much red clay, mostly to me just being a fan of how they painted the launch tower for the Saturn V back in the 60s and 70s. There's a piston door, which is unique, so I don't think any other... Actually, no, the Star Machine 2000 does have a piston door, but like, this is the first rocket to feature a piston door. Down here, you've got beds, you've got farms, you've got an empty room, and you've got storage, which is shulker boxes, so yay. And then more beds here. So this could definitely ferry a lot of people, and maybe the intended use was for like a crew ferry station, given the low amount of like fuel in the lava reactor and the high amount of beds. This is the control room. It's not like as extravagant as some of the other ones. There's no way to view like where you're flying when landing, but the ceiling does look pretty cool. Again, this was built by Logan, not me, so the traditions do not apply, the conventions do not apply, and Logan was not as deeply engrossed in the canon as I was. So if it's a bit out of if it's a bit out of place, that's why. It's definitely it has a place in the canon. They built a mission control for this one. I never finished my mission controls. That's like one of my biggest flaws. I guess this one isn't finished either, but like, it's definitely, you could see it. I believe there were minecarts in here, but we called them because like there's a limit to how many minecarts you could have on the Xbox edition, and I think we were getting close to that or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, TLM. Canonically, the canonical status of what it actually did is kind of disputed. I really want to retcon this and do it having flown and actually done stuff, but currently it's the prevailing consensus on the canon, like in terms of written works and what I thought until like what I thought and not what I want to happen, which I'll probably change it. But like, it never flew, it never got finished. That is the idea. I don't like this. I'm probably gonna retcon this at some point, saying it did fly and did stuff. But right now, the canon, the official canon, is that it never really flew. It never really got finished because Logan was a bit preoccupied with other things. But I don't like that answer because, like, you know, it's a bit but judgmental. It flew in my heart. So the last major, I believe, lava reactor rocket would be this thing, Space Shuttle Enderman / Space Shuttle Enderman 2, which I've actually already recorded. Hopefully, I'll actually end up posting its video for. So I'll only briefly go over this, but this was a top secret military shuttle, not necessarily military, but like definitely like a military adjacent lava reactor shuttle operated directly by the Infinity League and not the new Nova Space Program. This giant booster thing is called the Laser, or Lava Augmented Sustainable Engine Reusable Reactor Test. Or sorry, without test. Lava Augmented Sustainable Engine Reusable Reactor, which was, this whole thing was filled with emeralds, and this pioneered a lot of things in the lava reactor space, because, like, you know, it's the military, you can afford to take a few more risks. Obviously, obsidian construction, which is kind of like the analog to carbon fiber in game, sort of. It means you can re-enter without a heat shield, which means you can do like significantly longer ranges because you don't have to like be firing your engines the entire time through re-entry. I mean, obviously, carbon fiber can't really do that in real life, but like, it's kind of it's not exactly carbon fiber, but it's like an advanced material with high heat resistance, but it's also very brittle. But the main thing that this thing pioneered was in the lava reactor technology employed. It employed a lava reactor technology called crushed emerald injection. Because previously, all the lava reactors have been fuel rod types, where you gradually insert emeralds or diamonds into the reactor with like pistons, or like manually placing the blocks or shoving them in. But the problem with that is your surface area isn't very good, and that's what determines your reaction speed and the ultimate thrust you can get from the reactor. Like the surface area of those emerald blocks, like the surface area to volume ratio is extremely poor. So if you had a bunch of smaller things with like greater surface area that could put into the reactor, that would obviously increase the efficiency very much. Well, there's like a big downcomer, like ranging through the middle of that, which transport crushed emerald from the top, and that injects them all along the length of the downcomer into the reactor. They burn up really quickly, so they don't like clump up, is what I'm saying. And that allows for a far higher power density of the reactors. However, it also means like that your pressure, like the pressure of the injection system, corresponds to the thrust, but like the reaction, but that can lead into a feedback loop, like with like, you know, pogo oscillations on a normal rocket. Like oscillations can build up in the reactor that affect your pump rate, which will affect the reactor, which will affect the pump rate, etc. So that was the risk. Anyway, this is not a single stage to orbit. This is a two-stage design. This reactor would like go most of the way to orbit, detach, and then do a boost back burn, land vertically on the launch pad, and this would continue on to orbit or beyond. Like this is definitely medium orbit capable. It's even moon capable with refueling. Like this is moon capable if you like refuel it with emeralds. Anyway, I haven't even said the name. This is Space Shuttle Enderman. I don't even think I've said that. Well, more specifically, this is Space Shuttle Enderman 2, because the first mission of Space Shuttle Enderman 1, the original, succumbed to that oscillation problem, and the reactor blew up. Everyone survived with elytras, and the laser actually survived, but like they had to rebuild the shuttle. So anyway, after that brief hiccup, the Space Shuttle Enderman 2 went on to have a successful career of mostly top-secret missions. It deployed several classified payloads from its payload bay, and I'll go and explore in the video that's dedicated to it, at a crew capacity of 4. It looked really cool, and it's very mysterious. It's always ready for launch. Like the idea is like they'll never see it coming. Like astronauts will just like drive up to the pad and launch it, like, you know, in like 10 minutes. It can launch on demand in like 20 minutes. It's an interesting rocket. Anyway, so that's the last major second generation lava reactor rocket. There's a few minor ones actually. There's actually 4 minor ones. Okay, that rocket is called Dysprosium. It's kind of along the lines of the Pegasus. It's an expendable unmanned lava reactor rocket, but the difference between it and the Pegasus is it doesn't use the walls of the fuel. It injects emeralds, like not crushed emeralds, but like individual emeralds into the chamber, I believe. And it uses obsidian as its engine. Like it doesn't have to be efficient. It's an expendable satellite launch vehicle that doesn't really launch people. I believe there are capsules as well, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think so. I don't think these guys ended up building a capsule. But this will get explored more in the video about the small Sat-10, which is all these rockets, so I'm not going to go too in-depth on that. Over here is some very small like hop vehicles built by a company called Green Origin, which was going to make a suborbital tourism capsule. I never actually followed up on this. Like I did like one day of effort to this like years ago, and I never built anything else. But Green Origin didn't really amount too much in universe, or at least maybe I haven't written that part of the story yet. But like obviously you can tell this is like a direct ripoff of Blue Origin, the real life space company, down to like, you know, the escape motor being like into their crew capsule, and having these huge windows. Like this is like basically a direct New Shepard analog, except the first stage would be lava reactor powered. These are just test vehicles, not the full version. And I literally never did anything else with Green Origin. So presumably these were successful, and they built 2 of them for some reason. So maybe one of them was not successful. Okay, and I can't find it, so I'm just going to teleport to it. Yeah. So the other second generation lava reactor rocket was the one that powered the Bon Jovi, Mars, and Jupiter mothership. And this is definitely getting its own video. Like, this is like out of left field. I don't think I've even mentioned this once in the video so far. Maybe in the summary video. But there's lava reactors, and there's an engine. That's about all I can say. I don't even know what fuel source it was. But like, I believe this is the lava reactor nozzle, and these are the conventional fuel nozzles. Because obviously you can't use a lava reactor around Mars because there's no magnetic field. To get an idea of what technology this uses, I think I'm going to go inside. I never built docking ports on this. No, sorry, they are. There's up front. And I never... Oh, no, there's a way in. Awesome. It's just all the way up front. So back in the back of the ship, there's a reactor system which has... presumably leads to some... yeah, these hoppers. Yeah, this is the fuel storage system for the reactor. Maybe these are as well. I am not 100% sure. But like it would just be like dropping emeralds in, because yeah. There's not really anything else to it. I guess this battery is directly hooked up to the reactor, so it would charge directly from the reactor, which is cool. Yeah, it's not like a lava reactor rocket per se, like you'd think, but like it's like tangentially related. It is a lava reactor on a spaceship, but it's not really a lava reactor rocket per se. And during this point, the Lunar Space Station, which again is getting its own video, a lava reactor was launched to it in order to be able to like actually maneuver, because it previously just kind of like floating in space. This gave it its own propulsion, even though it wasn't that effective at the moon. It was enough for course corrections, and I believe power generation as well. Because like again, like the solar panels are not really that extensive on this thing. They probably could have used the extra power. Or maybe there's another lava reactor inside there. I think actually, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, so that's all the second generation lava reactor rockets. I'm going to record the video at the third generation ones now. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ultimacy out.